Smart people don't care about social life. Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. Only in solitude can we discover who we truly are and connect with our deeper, more meaningful thoughts. Those who embrace solitude often find clarity and creativity that the distractions of social life cannot provide.
Ever wonder why the smartest people you know often seem to care less about social life? They're not being rude or antisocial, there's something deeper at play. In a world that places such high value on socializing, parties, and always being on, it might seem odd when someone who's highly intelligent prefers to stay home, read a book, or just focus on their work. But this isn't a sign of loneliness or alienation. It's often a conscious, well-thought-out choice that has more to do with how the brain works and how these individuals think, rather than a simple rejection of others. Many highly intelligent people are naturally drawn to solitude, and it's not because they dislike people, but because their brains work in a different way. The truth is, socializing can be mentally exhausting for them. It can take away from their ability to focus deeply or to pursue intellectual passions. And let's be real, have you ever been at a social gathering where the conversation just didn't go anywhere? For people who thrive on complex thought, small talk or shallow interactions can be draining rather than rewarding. But this goes beyond just preference. There's psychology at play here that explains why solitude, deep thinking, and even selective socializing become a way of life. In this video, we're going to dive into why being socially disconnected isn't a bad thing for highly intelligent individuals. Instead of seeing it as something negative, we'll explore how solitude can actually fuel their creativity, productivity, and personal growth. So, whether you're someone who loves social gatherings or someone who values quiet moments, this exploration might just change how you see social life and intelligence. Let's get into it. Section 1: Defining Intelligence and Social Life. When we talk about intelligence, what exactly do we mean? Most of us have a simple idea of intelligence: the ability to solve problems, think critically, or learn new things quickly. But in reality, intelligence is much more complex than that. Psychologists have broken it down into different types, each of which plays a unique role in how we interact with the world. There's cognitive intelligence, often measured by IQ tests, which involves logical reasoning, problem solving, and memory. This is the traditional, book smarts we think of when we say someone is intelligent. But then there's emotional intelligence, EQ, which has to do with understanding and managing emotions, both your own and those of others. You can be incredibly intellectually gifted but struggle with navigating social dynamics, and that's where emotional intelligence becomes crucial. Now, when we consider social life, we're talking about our interactions with other people, the relationships we build, the activities we participate in, and how we fit into society. Social life, in the traditional sense, has always been about connecting with others. It's the small talk at a party, the coffee meetups with friends, and the shared experiences that create bonds between people. In today's world, social life is often equated with a sense of success. You're doing well if you're socially active, right? If you're at the top of the social ladder or constantly interacting with people, it's assumed that you're well-adjusted, socially skilled, and even happy. But here's where things get interesting. Highly intelligent people often don't see social life the way society does. For them, socializing isn't a necessity, it can sometimes even feel like a distraction. They may not feel the urge to constantly engage with others because their intellectual needs are often fulfilled through solitary activities, reading, problem solving, creating, or reflecting. In fact, many find the stimulation they get from intellectual pursuits more rewarding than the social experiences that others might prioritize. Section 2: Smart People and the Need for Solitude. It might sound strange to many, but for highly intelligent individuals, solitude isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. In a world where we're taught that everyone needs friends, and being social is good for your mental health, it's easy to overlook how powerful solitude can be, especially for creative and intellectual minds. The truth is, solitude can be the ultimate environment for growth and productivity. When we're alone, we often have the mental space to think deeply, uninterrupted. The brain isn't distracted by outside stimuli, be it the chatter in a cafe, the pressure to entertain at a party, or the constant notifications pinging on your phone. In solitude, a person can dive into their thoughts, solve complex problems, and explore new ideas without the constant pull of social demands. That's one of the reasons why so many highly intelligent people are drawn to solitary activities. Whether it's working on a passion project, reading a book, or simply reflecting on life, being alone gives them the time and focus to develop their thoughts and ideas in a way that constant social interaction rarely allows. But it's not just about focusing better. Solitude also fosters creativity. Studies show that some of the most creative minds throughout history, think Einstein, Newton, or Darwin, spent a lot of time alone, reflecting, observing, and connecting dots in ways that others didn't. When you're not surrounded by the opinions and ideas of others, your mind has the freedom to wander, to imagine, and to innovate in ways that are often stifled in social settings. For many people, socializing can feel like an energy drain. Small talk can feel like a waste of time, and large gatherings can seem more exhausting than enjoyable. Socializing, while fulfilling for some, requires emotional energy that others may not feel inclined to give. In fact, the concept of social burnout is real. The more time spent in social environments, the more mentally taxing it becomes. This is especially true for people who are naturally introverted or highly intelligent. For them, the mental energy that could be spent on intellectual pursuits is instead drained by the demands of social interaction. But the beauty of solitude is that it allows intelligent individuals to conserve their mental energy. It lets them focus on the things that matter to them, whether it's solving complex problems, diving into deep intellectual discussions, even if it's just with themselves, or creating something entirely new. The solitude they seek isn't about loneliness, it's about creating an environment where their minds can thrive. Section 3: The Science of Introversion and Social Disconnection. To understand why many smart people prefer solitude, we need to dive into the science of introversion. It's not just a personality trait, it's deeply rooted in how the brain processes stimuli. Introverts, who make up a significant portion of highly intelligent individuals, experience the world differently than extroverts. Introverts are often more sensitive to external stimulation, meaning that they process information more deeply. While extroverts might thrive in social situations, introverts tend to feel drained by the constant input of social environments. The key difference comes down to the brain's response to dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter that's released during social interactions. For extroverts, socializing boosts dopamine, making them feel more energized and excited. But for introverts, the opposite happens. Too much social interaction can lead to a dopamine overload, which creates feelings of stress or discomfort. In simple terms, introverts get overwhelmed more easily by the noise, crowds, and constant interactions, which is why they tend to seek quiet, solitary environments to recharge. Highly intelligent individuals, many of whom fall on the introverted side of the spectrum, are wired to think deeply, analyze, and reflect. This kind of deep thought requires a calm and focused mind, free from distractions. It's no surprise that they often feel a stronger pull towards solitude. The more intellectually engaged they are, the less they desire to partake in shallow social interactions. Instead of going out to parties or hanging out with acquaintances, they find joy in personal projects, learning, and solo endeavors. This disconnect can be misunderstood by others. In a society that values social interaction, people may assume that someone who avoids social settings is lonely, antisocial, or even arrogant. But in reality, for many highly intelligent people, the desire for solitude is not a rejection of others, it's simply a need to protect their mental energy and intellectual space. It's about preserving the balance needed for them to think clearly and engage deeply with their own ideas. Section 4. The role of technology and social media. In today's world, social media and technology have become central to how we interact with others. But for many intelligent individuals, this shift towards digital communication has only increased their desire for solitude. While technology connects us in ways that weren't possible before, it also brings with it a constant flow of information, opinions, and notifications that can be mentally overwhelming. The rise of social media platforms, with their endless streams of updates and interactions, can often feel like a distraction rather than a benefit to highly intellectual people. Social media is designed to grab our attention and keep us hooked, but for someone who values deep thought and intellectual pursuits, it can feel like a noisy, shallow environment. The constant influx of trivial updates, political debates, and personal opinions can seem overwhelming or even mentally exhausting. In this context, avoiding social media is a way to preserve cognitive resources for more meaningful, thoughtful engagements. For some smart individuals, technology offers a more efficient form of communication that allows them to stay connected without the emotional or mental drain of face-to-face interactions. Online forums, for instance, can provide a space where ideas are exchanged thoughtfully, and discussions are often centered around specific intellectual topics rather than social niceties. In this way, technology becomes a tool for more focused, deliberate interaction, rather than a source of social pressure. Moreover, the constant notifications and demands for attention on social media can interfere with the kind of deep, uninterrupted work that highly intelligent people often crave. Whether it's an ongoing project, a book they're reading, or a problem they're trying to solve, distractions from social media or technology can pull their focus away from what truly matters to them. As a result, many intelligent people prefer to limit their time on these platforms or even avoid them altogether, choosing instead to spend their time on activities that align with their intellectual passions. In essence, technology and social media have redefined how we connect with others, but for highly intelligent individuals, they may not always serve the same social function. Instead, they're often seen as distractions, competing for attention in ways that are counterproductive to the type of deep thought and concentration that these individuals value. Section 5. The benefits of solitude for smart people. It's easy to assume that solitude might lead to loneliness, but for highly intelligent individuals, it's actually a source of power. Solitude offers a range of benefits, especially when it comes to productivity, creativity, and personal growth. Think about it. How many times have you had a breakthrough idea while you were alone, whether you were in the shower, lying in bed, or taking a quiet walk? That's because when we're alone, our brains aren't distracted by the outside world. This mental space allows for deeper thinking and the freedom to connect ideas that may not be immediately obvious when we're bombarded with constant social interaction. For smart individuals, solitude isn't about withdrawing from the world, it's about having the room to think clearly. With fewer external distractions, they can dive into their passions, reflect on their goals, or simply explore the depths of their thoughts. This kind of deep, focused work is often where their greatest ideas are born. Whether it's writing, creating, solving problems, or learning, solitude allows for immersion in intellectual activities without the need for constant validation or interruptions from others. The benefits of solitude also extend to creativity. Many people assume that collaboration and social interaction are key to creative thinking, but for many highly intelligent individuals, being alone fosters the kind of innovation that thrives in peace. In fact, some of the world's greatest inventors and thinkers spent a large portion of their time alone, focusing intensely on their work. Solitude can be a breeding ground for new ideas, as it allows the mind to wander, make connections, and explore possibilities without being shaped by the opinions of others. Personal growth is another area where solitude plays a key role. Without the noise of social pressures or expectations, highly intelligent individuals can focus on their own development, understanding themselves better and honing their unique talents. The quiet reflection that comes with time alone allows for growth that's deeply personal and driven by their own values, rather than external influences. It's in these moments of solitude that they can truly align their actions with their deeper purpose. In a world that often glorifies social success and extroversion, it's important to recognize that solitude is a powerful tool for the highly intelligent. It's not about avoidance, it's about self-nourishment, intellectual exploration, and the deep, uninterrupted focus needed to achieve personal and professional greatness. Conclusion: embracing solitude for personal growth and intellectual fulfillment. In the end, it's important to understand that the way smart people approach social life is rooted in a unique relationship with their own minds and needs. For many highly intelligent individuals, socializing isn't something they actively avoid out of disdain for others. It's simply that the mental energy required for social interaction competes with the cognitive resources they need to thrive. Their preference for solitude isn't a sign of social failure, but rather an indication of how they connect with the world in a different way. As we've seen, intelligence and social life don't always have to go hand in hand. For some, deep thinking, creativity, and intellectual pursuits require space that's often best found in solitude. When the brain isn't overloaded with external noise, it can focus, explore, and generate ideas at its best. Solitude doesn't have to equate to loneliness. It can be a sanctuary where minds flourish and creativity finds its roots. At the end of the day, the key is balance. Some people thrive in social environments, while others find their greatest strength in moments of quiet reflection. What's most important is recognizing that both are valid ways of engaging with the world. Whether you're someone who enjoys lively conversations or you find solace in your own company, the way you interact with the world is a personal journey. And for those highly intelligent individuals who lean toward solitude, this approach allows them to live authentically, focusing on what truly brings them fulfillment and success. So, next time you meet someone who prefers to keep to themselves or avoid the noise of social events, remember, it's not about rejection. It's about carving out the mental space they need to think deeply, create freely, and grow into the fullest version of themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and that's what makes the world so wonderfully diverse.